Hey eSkate World, eSkate Hooligan here, and I am going to give you, yes, another very informative and fantastic video. Trust me. With all the options that are out there in the eSkates, with all the different price points that are out there, it is getting harder and harder to determine where you should put your hard-earned money in order to get an e-skate that A, fits your riding style, B, doesn't disappoint you, and C, brings you a lot of enjoyment and satisfaction. So that's the job that I do, is I buy the boards. I love riding skateboards. I love e-skates. I then turn around and give you my unbiased opinion as to what my thoughts are on that particular board. And hopefully you find that information valuable and assist you in buying your e-skate. So with that being said, I have decided to break this review into two vids. Vid number one is going to focus on design. This is a unique board, okay? Vid number two is going to focus on the powertrain of this board. Watch vid number two if you have not bought or you are thinking about buying this board. Vid number one is design. Vid number two is powertrain. I'm working with Propel on some questions that I have regarding this board, and I want to give them ample opportunity to answer those questions before I put my review of the powertrain of this board out, okay? So remember, that video is coming out in about a week. Today, we're focusing on design. So let's focus on design. If you're looking at this board and you're an e-skater, you already recognize this board, or maybe you just clicked on the thumbnail because you thought it was cool. I don't know. But this is the Propel Endeavor S. Does this board not scream mean? Does this board not scream mess with me? I mean, this is the dopest looking board I have seen. I mean, the coolness factor of this board is unbelievable. I get people that ask me questions about this. What is that thing? That is so cool. Where'd you get that? I get a lot of questions about this board. So that's what attracted me to this board, is when I did my research, when I saw it, it screamed buy me. And so I did. On September, I think it was September 7th, I bought the board. It showed up on November 20th. I firmly believe it was on the slowest rowboat from China. But as you see, it did finally show up. So the box showed up. I thought, okay, am I going to do an unboxing video? And then I thought, nah, I'm not going to do an unboxing video. Everyone does an unboxing video. I don't need to do an unboxing video. If you want to see an unboxing video, you can go watch all the other ones that are done. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to focus on the actual board. So I ripped the box open. That's when reality set in, because when I went to lift this board out of the box, weighing in at 37 pounds, this is a heavy board. When you're used to riding traditional longboards or the popsicle boards, this is a heavy board. Okay, now you might be saying, well, geez, you wuss, you know, you can't even lift 37 pounds. No, I can lift 37 pounds. That's not an issue. But this is a board that you're not going to haul around the mall. This is not the board that you're going to haul into a restaurant. This is not the board that you're going to haul up and down, 5, 10 flights of stairs on a regular basis. It is a weighty board. However, I think that weightiness actually works to its benefit, because having a little bit of weight and a little bit of stability under you, I think gives you additional confidence and gives you a very solid foundation to enjoy your ride. So I think the weightiness actually works to its benefit. Now let's take a look at the deck, okay? This is a maple deck, okay? And I think it looks beautiful. I love how Propel has left certain areas open. This thing gives character. When you look at the way that the grip tape was placed, when you look at the wood that shines through, this thing just exudes character. Okay? Now, the grip tape that is on here is strategically placed. As you saw, it's strategically placed. It allows some of the wood to come through. But when you step into the concave shoulders of this board onto this grip tape, your feet are locked in. And it really allows you to do that heel-toe control of the board. So I have not had any issues with my feet slipping, sliding, whatever you want to call it. Step on the board, I'm gripped in, I'm riding. Not an issue at all. Okay? You might also think that with this being a maple board, that it's a flexi board, but it's not. This is a very rigid board. Okay, and the reason behind the rigidity of it is because when you look at the bottom, the ESC and battery compartment runs the entire length of the board, and it's an aluminum encasement. So when you add that to the bottom of this board from end to end, it is a very rigid board. I would put this on the same level as a carbon fiber board. Okay, very rigid. Again, I would give that rigidity the fact that it also contributes to the stability of this board. So you add in the weight, you add in the rigidity and the other design. This is a very solid, very stable board. And I do enjoy riding it. So I have to give Propel props on the deck design and how they put it all together. Okay, now let's move to the back of the board for just a second. Right here on the back of the board, up top, is the power button. It's not down here, it's not under here, it's not over here. It is right here where it's easy to access and it's easy to see. You can also kick this board a certain distance and it will actually turn on by itself. You grab the remote, you turn the remote on, you're ready to ride. So it does have a nice kick start built into it. I think that was a good design. Okay. Also underneath, this is where the battery charger is. So you're going to plug into the bottom when you need to charge the battery. This design is really good. It's a larger connector. It's got a sleeve on it that slips right in. Very solid fit, and it does a nice job. The charger is extremely loud. It's got a fan built into it because it's a higher output charger, and it is a noisy. You're going to hear it. It's probably nothing that you're going to want to stick in your bedroom overnight and charge up while you're trying to sleep. Okay, but this is where the battery is, or the battery charge port is. Again, I think they did a really good job with the design of that. Okay, let's talk about the part of this board that probably draws all of us to this board, and that is the suspension. So when we take a look at the suspension of this board, you're going to notice that there are 4 independent suspensions. There's one here, one at the back, and one on the other side. There are no trucks on this board. 4-wheel independent suspension. Each suspension arm has its own coil over shock, and it is fully adjustable. Right here is the ring that you can tighten it up to make the suspension stiffer, or you can loosen it to make the suspension a little more cushy. And each control arm has one of these coil over shock devices built into it. And it works beautifully. You're going to notice that it pivots right here in the middle. So each one of these arms, these suspension arms, they're going to pivot. So if you run this wheel up on a curb, it's going to actually pivot up without totally rocking the truck. Because remember, there's no trucks on this thing. Okay? So when you take each one of these pivoting, they're actually working to maximize to keep the rubber on the road and to keep you a really good grip, while at the same time not twisting and rolling your deck and potentially throwing you off. I've run these wheels up onto the curb and they just flex, okay? And you come on and off a curb when you're coming at it at the side. You come on and off that curb and you're like, okay, did I just hit the curb? Literally, they flex. Now, I did not have to do much adjustment. I'm 190 pounds. I did not have to do much adjustment that when I step on this deck, those control arms come down a little bit, but they still have a tremendous amount of travel left in them. Now, again, for my riding style or whatever, I could fully customize each one of these suspension arms and have the perfect ride. As it sits right now, butter. This thing goes over cracks, goes over small potholes, goes over twigs, rocks, and except big boulders. But it goes over everything and it has no issue with it at all. You don't even feel it. As a matter of fact, when I'm riding this board, you know, you get that fatigue, that foot fatigue, that burning in your feet. I don't get that with this board. I have to be honest with you. I do not get that with this board because it doesn't travel the vibrations through. It's absorbed through here, okay? Now, let's talk a little bit about the 8-inch rubber tires that are on here. These are air-filled tires. So you couple that with the independent suspension and with the rock-solid deck, and it's smoother than butter, okay? Good grip. I have carved with this thing pretty aggressively, and I do not feel any skid on this. If you're planning on doing slides, not going to happen with this. This board stays stuck to the ground. So I really like how they've designed that, and it works together. The rims of these wheels, actually, you can take the center nut off. The wheel will come off. There's a series of bolts right here that when you take those out, that hub actually splits apart. You can pull the tire out. You can pull the tube out. You can replace the tube easily, put it back together, and you don't have to do, you know how the old tires with the bicycle tires, how we had to work it over the rim? You don't have to do that with these. Very easy to change. So another good design. I'm going to give Propel an A in that design. So far, they've gotten an A across the board on design of this full board. Now I'm going to flip this around because I want to take a look at the motors. Remember, we're not talking about power. We're not talking about drivetrain. That's in the, yeah, you got it, second video, and you're going to, yep, good, you did it again. You're going to watch the second video. Now, in here, notice that these motors are pitched up, which I think is a good design for a couple reasons. Number one, if something skids under this suspension arm, it doesn't skin up your motors, okay? Plus, also another thing coupled with the 8-inch tires is that if I want to grab the independent suspension, remember, no trucks, if I want to grab the independent suspension up top, I can actually pull this board. And I don't have to worry about skinning up the motors by dragging them on the ground. Plus, to be honest with you, these motors, I think being up higher, I think it looks cool. I think it gives it an even more aggressive, mean look to it. Now, I told you earlier, these motors sing. When you wind this up, they sing. And I'm not going to lie, I love the sound. And it is an attention grabber. When you ease into that acceleration, those motors wind up. I guarantee you, and I've watched people, they look. Okay? So if you're looking for an attention getter, there it is, right there. Now, let's just quickly go over this. Great tires, great design of the rims. Couple it with the independent suspension. Couple it with the coil over shock absorbers. Independent suspension. A good, solid, weighty deck. This board has great control. When I'm riding it, I do not worry about it skidding out. I don't worry about coming off the board. I have to admit, this is a great board to ride. Watch the second video. Catching a theme there? Okay. Now, I want to talk to you about two, I'm going to call them design flaws. There's two things that I don't like about the board that I think they could have done better, and one of them they need to do better in the next iteration of the board. I'm going to flip this up for just a second. See how easy I flipped that 37 pounds? See, I got it. Okay, if you take a look here, you're going to notice that it looks like there's a pencil sticking out the side of the ESC and battery box. This is the antenna for the remote control. The problem that I have with this is that if my right front tire kicks anything up, I worry about it hitting that and potentially breaking it or damaging it, okay? So if I see something coming, a lot of times I'll carve out around it or I'll split it, okay? Now, I know, it's my job to give you information and stuff. I'm just not willing to test how much force this thing can take before it breaks off. It costs me a lot of money. You guys are important to me, but sorry, I got to draw the line somewhere. This is a design flaw. I wish they'd have handled this better. This next one is a design flaw that Propel has to address in the next iteration. Built into the independent suspension is the ability for you to adjust or tune what is called turning force. That's what Propel calls it, turning force. On each independent suspension, you're going to notice right here, down here, down here, and right here, there is a bolt and a nut, a locking nut. You use the 13 millimeter provided by Propel. You use that to loosen the locking nut. Then what you do is you use the included H4 hex key and you put it in the end and you either loosen or tighten each one of these. When you loosen it, what it does is it gives you the ability to have a tighter turning radius. Hence the reason why they call it turning force, okay? Now, by doing that on each one, I'm either able to make it more loose and turn easier, or I'm able to tighten it up and make it harder so that I have to lean in or lean into my toe, lean into my heel to actually turn the board, okay? Think of it as kind of having 4 independent trucks or independent kingpins in here. Now, here's where the problem is. When you take the hex key to put in the end to adjust the turning force, this bolt lines up perfectly with the lip of this suspension arm. So you can't get the hex key in there. Now, I've tried it from different angles. I've tried it with different ends, and you can never get a really good, solid fit in there. You're either going to mar up your suspension arm or you're going to mess up the interior of this bolt because this fits into the interior of the bolt. Now, what I'm looking at doing is picking up another H4 and cutting off about 2/3 of this end. That way, by removing about 2/3, this will fit in perfectly between the lip of the suspension arm and the tuning the bolt for the turning force. So Propel, in the next iteration, either provide a better key or fix this issue. Realign these differently so that you can actually use the tools that you provided. This issue is on every single suspension arm. So is it a deal breaker? No, it's not a deal breaker because I've got a way that I can fix it. Is it something Propel needs to address? Absolutely. Okay? So, board overall, design. I have to still give Propel an A on the design of this board. It is a dope looking board. It's a mean looking board. It's an aggressive looking board. And it is a blast to ride. Not going to take that away from them. But you're going to watch that second video in regards to the powertrain of this particular board. E-Skate Hooligan here. I hope you found something beneficial in this video. If you did, consider subscribing. If you really liked it, give me a like. If you didn't, go ahead and hit the dislike. I won't get upset. E-Skate Hooligan here. Hope you have a great day. See you in the next vid.